Meet Alex, a sharp, dedicated team leader who's really frustrated at the state of chaos that his team is in. They are working overtime and scrambling to finish the endless list of projects. Yet, they are not getting results and keep missing their targets. It's clear that something needs to change. If you were in Alex's shoes, what would you do? Hi, I'm Angela from GrowthGarden. After spending 11 years as a corporate leader and 13 years building my own business, I realized that Alex's situation is actually very common in teams of any size. This could range from startups to MNCs. Can you guess what is the most common root cause? It's a lack of direction. As a result, the team gets pulled in a dozen different directions, chasing after every idea and every opportunity. Everyone seems to be doing a lot but not seeing results. If you're firing arrows in all directions without knowing where the goalpost is, then the arrows definitely will not find their mark. So, how can you bring the team together to hit that bullseye every single time? In this video, you learn how to see the bigger picture so you don't lose sight of what matters the most. And you learn the 6 crucial questions you must ask to get clear on your goals. We'll be taking inspiration from a few book summaries from the Reading Graphics library. By the way, that's my business. We'll also take a peek behind the scenes on how I applied those ideas with my team. Let's dive right in. How do you get clear on your goals? First of all, we must define what goals and planning really mean. Most people just use these terms very loosely without realizing that they're actually different levels of goals. Broadly, you can think of your planning horizons in 3 levels. Most of us are operating at the ground level up to 10,000 feet. We're busy with our daily tasks and short-term projects, and most of our so-called planning revolves around what to do today, this week, or this month. That's fine, except that things can spin very quickly out of control if you haven't defined your higher level goals, and it gets especially chaotic when you're working with a team. Imagine this: you tell your spouse to pick up the groceries for dinner. If you don't specify what you want to cook, they might come back with a totally different set of ingredients from what you expected. Now, imagine if you're asking your daughter to pass a message to your spouse to buy the groceries. Could you see how quickly everything could break down? And that's just for buying groceries. At the workplace, we're talking about major confusion around what it means to improve quality or get more customers. You might be thinking, obviously quality means having something that's easy to use. Well, your engineer might think that quality means that it should last forever. And your designer thinks that quality means it must be beautiful and aesthetically pleasing. So, you're all running in different directions. That's just for one aspect of work. Imagine the level of confusion when that happens for every aspect of work and for every person that you add to your team. Fortunately, we can provide some clarity to get everyone aligned. We want to do this top-down according to the planning horizon. At the highest level, we have goals and aspirations around what we want to do with our life. In our business, this would be the purpose for its existence. We'll be discussing that later in this video. This level can be a bit vague and hazy, so we want to translate that into a clear mental picture of where we want to be in 3 to 5 years. From there, we can figure out our short-term goals for the next 12 months to bring that vision to life. This will in turn drive the daily tasks and immediate projects that we should tackle. In this video, we'll be focusing on gaining clarity at the highest level so you know where you're headed in the next 3 to 5 years, why, and how to do that. With that clarity, you can then get the rest of your team on board and start focusing on an action plan. Hit the subscribe button for more videos on setting and achieving your goals at different levels of the planning horizon. Let's talk about how to define your purpose, vision, and values. If you've worked in a mid-sized or large company before, you've probably come across the term MVV, Mission, Vision, Values. They sound like marketing slogans, and nobody really even understands what they mean. That is not what we want here. Let's make it easy using some simple questions instead. We're going to go through 6 core questions from The Advantage by Patrick Lencioni. By the end of these questions, you should start to get some clarity on where you're headed and why. I've included the links for the free book summaries in the description below in case you wish to do a deep dive. Let's start with the first question. Why does your business or company exist? This question is actually much harder than it looks because it's very abstract and there are just so many possibilities. I had many versions of this answer for Reading Graphics. Each one was okay, but there was always something missing until finally the right one hit me. Reading Graphics exists to bring great ideas to life. We do this by bringing ideas to life from great books so people can visually understand them and literally live them through their work and creations in the real world. Later in this video, I'll share a bit more about what that discovery journey was like. How about you? How do you know if you have defined the right purpose or reason for your business existence? Well, you just have to tune in and be honest with yourself because you will feel that clunk deep inside when you've got the answer. To help you out, here are some guiding ideas on what a purpose is or isn't. First, it's not about what you want in terms of money or lifestyle. It's about what you and your team are contributing to make the world a better place. And that probably includes your customers or the people that you serve. Who are they? What pains are they facing? What will it be like when your company gets really outstanding at resolving that pain? Your core purpose, or why you exist, is supposed to be grand and aspirational. So your final answer is likely going to be along the lines of making the world a better place. It may sound cliche, but that's completely okay. Here are 3 of my favorites. Tesla, to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. Google, to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. Nike, to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. If you have a body, you are an athlete. You may not have found your answer yet, but just keep this at the back of your mind and keep revisiting it until you get to that aha moment. So now let's move on to the next question with a success example that you might be familiar with. In a small village in Sweden, a 17-year-old wanted to build a business selling furniture. Specifically, he wanted to provide functional, well-designed, and affordable home furnishing products that can improve people's everyday lives. This business became a huge success and is now a major global brand. You probably guessed it by now. It's IKEA. So, how can you achieve that in your business or organization? Well, let's look at question 2. How do we behave? This question addresses your core values or how people on your team behave. For the longest time, I struggled with how to implement core values. I finally figured it out when I applied these filters. First, the traits must be something that's already obvious in your company. It's like how a friend would describe your personality. So, values describe something that you and your team members are already doing 99% of the time because these are things that you already believe in and commit to. Second, describe those traits in your own words. For example, a word like humility can be anything to anyone. But if you translate it into being willing to sweep floors, suddenly it becomes really clear. You're talking about the willingness to set aside your ego and do any kind of work. In other words, these are not just values that you aspire towards, but values that describe who you already are. For example, here are the value I read in graphics. I came up with the first draft when there were just 3 people on the core team. There were other people helping us with work, but none of them were really in the inner circle. So I looked at the 3 core people, then I looked at those who didn't make it, as well as those who were doing the work but not really driving the business. And I realized that there were actually a few differentiating factors. I translated them into observable behaviors, and I asked the team members to rate each of them on a scale of 1 to 10. Any item that wasn't a perfect 10 was revised until it hit the mark for all of us. It will take time and effort, but the list reminds you of who you are, and you should be able to use it to guide your daily decisions and actions. So for example, at one point I had a marketer who was recommending tactics to push people to pay quickly on the premise that most people will be too lazy to ask for a refund even if the solution doesn't really meet their needs. But this violated our value of integrity, where we say we will not intentionally deceive or manipulate others for selfish gains. And so I rejected those tactics even though it meant earning less. Now you might say, Angela, that's a stupid business decision. But I beg to differ, because this is exactly what it means to stay true to your values. So it's no surprise that marketer didn't stay very long with us. So what about you? What are the things that you and the people in your company already do that stands out differently from other companies? Find them, put them down in writing, and use them to keep yourself on track. Question number 3. What do we do? For this question, we're going to challenge ourselves to summarize the business in just 1 sentence. This is not a mission statement, just a direct, concrete description of what you do in your business, excluding any marketing buzzwords or adverbs. For example, IKEA's business statement can be simply, we design and sell ready-to-assemble furniture, kitchen appliances, and home accessories. Keep it simple so anyone can understand what you do. Question number 4. How will we succeed? This question helps you to define the strategic choices that will improve your competitive position in the market. Your goal is to narrow down to the 3 strategic anchors that will guide your company's decisions, differentiate you from your competitors, and drive your success. For example, one of IKEA's strategic pillars is low cost. This is filtered down into all parts of their operations, product design, and supply chain. It translates into flat packaging, modular design, and their choice of materials and suppliers. You don't even need to be that original with your strategies. Try looking across different industries or sectors for inspiration and combine seemingly ordinary strategies and ideas in creative ways to find a winning strategy that suits you and your team. By answering the last 3 questions, you've basically translated a high-level purpose into something that's very concrete and actionable. It's worthwhile to invest some time and effort to crystallize your answers, because that clarity alone will go a long way to streamline your decisions and efforts as a team, saving you a lot of unproductive time down the road. For the last 2 questions, here we're actually at the planning level of 20,000 to 10,000 feet, where we're thinking about more immediate and practical issues. So that brings us to question number 5. What is the most important thing right now? At any point in time, you should only have one top priority. Now you might think that's just impossible. We have to deal with sales, production, operations, customer service. There's no way we can prioritize just one thing in business. Well, I learned the hard way that is precisely the reason why we need to prioritize just one single thing at any point in time. Because otherwise, everyone in the company will be running after different issues and you will not be able to generate enough momentum in any one area to see real progress. Once you know your strategic pillars and your single company-wide priority, you can align everyone and answer the final question. Who must do what? The goal here is to be detailed enough so people know exactly what's expected of them. You want to make sure that all key areas are covered. If there's an overlap, make sure people know who is accountable for what. To recap, these are the 6 questions that we have addressed so far. I've also included the free book summary links in the description below. Feel free to check them out. Please don't feel frustrated or worried if you don't have the answers yet to most of the questions. It'll probably take some time to find your answers. They may not come to you in the exact sequence of the questions. For example, I started reading graphics just to solve a very simple problem: to find and remember great ideas visually from non-fiction books. I didn't have a big lofty vision or purpose, and it took me several years to crystallize what I just shared earlier. What's more, the process of clarifying and aligning never really stops. Even after your company grows up, it can still lose its way, like what happened with Apple and Starbucks. So, it's worthwhile to internalize all 3 levels of planning and the 6 questions. Make it a part of how you think and run your business or team. Feel free to drop a comment anytime below to share your journey, your success stories, or any questions you may have. Your purpose and business direction is closely linked with the problems that you solve for your customers. Check out this video to find out how you can find or create unique value that people are willing to pay top dollar for. I'll see you there.